to drive Nigeria to the next level.
Some of the new permanent secretaries spoken to were full of appreciation to President Muhammadu Buhari for the confidence reposed in them, which they promised not to betray.
Each one of us is fully aware that nothing but the best is expected of us in the discharge of our responsibility. And I make this solemn declaration that I would do my very best, and I believe that it will be in the pursuit, of the aspirations of this government.
It's a position of trust, and we are grateful for the opportunity. We do know that Mr. President has very high standard in terms of accountability, transparency, and good governance. So we would try as much as possible to live up to that standard.
One will have to bring in all the past experience, the exposure, the contacts, every opportunity to bear in the work. New hands into the role of permanent secretaries bring in innovative ideas, and we will surely bring into bear in our responsibilities.
Apart from being chief accounting officers, permanent secretaries also have the responsibility of, among others, supporting and advising ministers, as well as ensuring effective management of human resources and implementation of policies, projects and priorities of government. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Thank you, Adamu. And now to International Migrants Day. As the world marks 2019 International Day of Migrants, stakeholders working on migration issues in Nigeria are advocating safe, orderly and regular migration. Correspondent Irregular Migration reports that the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons organized the event in collaboration with the International Organization for Migration, IOM Nigeria.
At a glance, you would think what's going on here is an exercise, but on the contrary, it's part of activities marking the 2019 International Migrants Day. It is organized to create awareness and draw attention to the issues of migrations, both at national and global level.
It's another opportunity to bring the stories of migrants to the fore. Thousands of stakeholders converged on Abuja to commemorate the day. Chigozie Cyril is a Libyan returnee. As he shares his experience in Agadez, the Mediterranean Sea and Libya, he charged youth to begin to look inward for opportunities back home, rather than embarking on a dangerous journey.
So day two, we put you where we call connection house. If you are a female, you'll be there as a sex slave. No matter what you are facing as a challenge or what, just try and endure. There's a better future for you rather than running out of this country. There's no greener pasture anyway.
The work began and terminated at the old parade ground, Area 10. Here, the Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Bashir Garba Mohammed, and others present expressed solidarity to thousands of migrants who lost their lives attempting to reach Europe via the Mediterranean and the Saharan deserts.
This work is a symbol of solidarity with our brothers and sisters who have lost their lives or have gone missing during their journeys through the desert or by the sea in search of a better life. We remember many who have drowned at sea, the uncountable migrants sold as slaves and confined in detention centers. We remember also the unknown or the faceless that were left behind during the journey and those that have been forgotten.
Migration is a global phenomenon that is multifaceted. There are opportunities inherent in migration, but however, you must adhere strictly to the tenets as provided by different member states in terms of migration.
In 1990, the UN General Assembly adopted the International Convention on the Protection of the Rights of All Migrant Workers. Since then, 18th of December every year is set aside to mark the International Migrants Day. Obiageli Ugoke, NTA News.
Now, irregular migration is a phenomenon bothering the governments of most African countries, Nigeria inclusive. To shed more light on this development is the Chief of Mission International Organization for Migration, Franz Celestin. Glad to have you join us on the news, sir.
It's good to be here.
All right. Now to start with, it's an International Migrants Day, but first of all, why do people migrate?
Well, people migrate for different reasons. They migrate to improve their social economic conditions. They migrate to be reunified with families who have migrated before them. There are people who migrate simply to improve their education, so a lot of students are moving across borders. And there are those who migrate to work. So there are different conditions that move people, and also there are drivers that simply force people to move, for example, natural disasters.
All right, what do you think is responsible for irregular migration?
Well, irregular migration, in a lot of cases, it's because of people not satisfied with where they are, and it could be their economic condition or access to social services, and because they don't have regular pathways, so they could not go to an embassy and get a visa to go to work or to go study. And there are a lot of criminal elements that are promising, unsuspected victims the world that when they go to travel. So, and it's also people looking at what their friends have done and decide, okay, that might be the best route since there is no regular pathways for me to go.
All right, the focus of the 2019 International Migrants Day is on safe and orderly migration. What mechanism do you think governments at all levels should adopt to curb irregular migration?
Right, so government requires to have a migration governance, and this is where you involve all of the MDAs. Each of the different relevant agencies have a specific part to play in an effective border management, identity management, but also on the work side where certain government agencies can create the conducive conditions for young men and women to thrive at home so that they can see what it is here at home, because a lot of people migrate because of this perceived greener pasture. It sometimes exists, it sometimes doesn't. In any case, it's incredibly difficult if you don't have the proper document to work, regardless of what may be waiting for you. And you know, oftentimes there are dangers on the high seas and in the desert. So this is what the GCM was, the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly and Regular Migration was created for, to create a platform and a framework where member states can use to effectively manage and coordinate, manage migration and coordinate on how we can better manage influx of people.
All right, you mentioned that some youth travel for greener pastures. Now, what advice do you have for the entire youth in this regard?
Right, exactly. I mean, it's important for the youth to be educated about the migration journey. Too often that we see those young men and women migrating on the move without the proper information. This is why it's easier for these criminals to dupe them and to believing that there's something better waiting for them. So effective education is important, that they need to know who they're dealing with, and they need to know what's on the other side. This is why as IOM we have different approaches in educating these young people that include migrants as messengers, you know, giving the message coming from those who've experienced it, those who have been in that condition and how they reacted and what sort of mechanism they use to deal with such cases. Community theater is one also method we use to pass the message that if you can make a life for yourself at home, try home first. Right. Because a lot of people are paying on average $6,000 to cross the desert and they don't make it.
All right. Okay, because of time, we may have to stop here. Thank you so much for coming on the news.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you. Have been speaking with Franz Celestin. He is the Chief Mission International Organization for Migration. Moving on to judiciary now, the Supreme Court of Nigeria has affirmed the victories of the governors of Oyo, Kaduna, and Nasarawa states at the 2019 governorship election. The 7-man panel of justices led by Justice Mary Odili has also delivered judgment in 5 other governorship appeals. Olabode Arewa reports.
The 8 appeals heard by the Supreme Court included that of the PDP's David Ombugadu challenging the victory of Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State, that of Issa Ashiru of the PDP challenging the victory of Governor Nasiru El-Rufai of Kaduna State, and that of Oyo Governor Oluseyi Makinde challenging the Court of Appeal judgments, which found merit in the appeal of the APC's Adebayo Adelabu, but which declined to order a retrial of the petition at the tribunal because the tribunal's lifespan had lapsed. The Apex Court dismissed the 3 appeals for lacking in merit. The Supreme Court also upheld the victory of the governors of Katsina State, Ebonyi, Lagos, Ogun, and Akwa Ibom states.
They are given 3-4 judgments today, and we abide by the said judgments. All I can say as senior counsel is that we commend the court.
The Supreme Court is the final bus stop, and as a minister in the temple of justice, I am bound by the judgments. My client is bound by it. Every one of us are bound by it.
I will urge all Akwa Ibom members of the All Progressive Congress, let us come together. This is the final court. We cannot appeal any further. We'll have to cooperate with the government of the state, work together to make sure we progress the entire state under the leadership at the federal level of President Muhammadu Buhari.
The Supreme Court, in reaching these decisions, considered the provisions of the Constitution, the Electoral Act of 2010, and the INEC guidelines on the conduct of elections. The resolution of this election appeal affirms the supremacy of the judiciary as the place to go for the resolution of disputes, particularly electoral disputes. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has set aside its decision to hear the application to review the bail conditions of Abdurrashid Maina, former chairman of defunct Pension Reform Task Team, who is standing trial on a 12-count charge bordering on fraud and money laundering. We apologize for all that hitch. We shall now take a break and come back shortly. Please stay with us.
That channel where you watch just now don't waka, no panic. Can tell me no panic. You go do it by yourself like ABC. Oh yeah, press the menu button on top your remote. Scroll up and down till you see Information Central. Then press OK.
Press OK.
Check the signal strength and quality. If the signal strength and quality pass 70, make you press the exit button, go back. Go advanced options, then choose installation, then go to reset and press OK.
Press OK.
Wow, now you fit catch all those channels will be one miss road by yourself. Yes, make your groove for no loss. You see as I do, Abi? And I see as I do,
Go TV. Live it. Love it.
Thank you for staying with us on the news on NTA International. The acting registrar of the Corporate Affairs Commission, Lady Azuka Obiageli Azinge, could not be arraigned before the Code of Conduct Tribunal on the 18th of December as slated due to her absence in court. Austin Aibe tells us about the reason for her absence and other matters adjudicated upon by the tribunal at the sitting.
The boss of the Corporate Affairs Commission, Leader Azuka Obiageli Azinge, was to appear before the court to take her plea on charges leveled against her by the Code of Conduct Bureau bordering on alleged non-declaration of assets. When the case came up, counsel to the accused submitted an affidavit stating her ill health status as reason for her absence in court and urged the tribunal to adjourn the case on that account. Chairman of the tribunal, Justice Danladi Umar, having listened to the motion, stood down the case, delegating parties to the hospital. The accused was said to be on admission, urging them to come with verifiable evidence that will convince him to grant the adjournment. Upon their return, the tribunal said it is not convinced, but be that as it may, the court granted the adjournment to the 23rd of December 2019, failure of which will compel the court to order the Inspector General of Police and DG DSS to produce her in court. Similarly, a deputy director with the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports, Mohammed Hussein Al-Hassan, pleaded not guilty to a 3-count charge of non-declaration of his shares and that of his spouse in a company in his asset declaration forms as required by law. The case was adjourned to 9th January 2020 for hearing. Meanwhile, the tribunal has struck out the case of Senator Emmanuel Anwuli, a former senator from Ebonyi State. This was on the instance of the prosecution, who said his name was wrongly entered into the list of defaulters as clarified by the State Director of the Code of Conduct Bureau in Ebonyi State. From the Code of Conduct Tribunal, Austin Anyebe, NT News.
And now to legislature. The House of Representatives is pushing for the inclusion of presiding officers of the National Assembly as members of the National Security Council. A bill to that effect passed through second reading during Wednesday's plenary sponsored by Odebumi Olusegun. The bill seeks the amendment of the third schedule of the Constitution to enable the inclusion. The lawmakers also passed a resolution to investigate the alleged non-remittance of revenue put at more than £1 billion by the PPPRA, which contravenes provisions of the Fiscal Responsibility Act. The Speaker, Femi Bajabiamila, in the course of plenary, communicated to House members the appreciation of President Muhammadu Buhari during Tuesday's signing of the 2020 appropriation bill on the commitment of the National Assembly of returning Nigeria's budget cycle to January to December. And on Senate, the Senate has called on the Nigerian police force to carry out a comprehensive investigation on the murder of Professor Jerome Elusion. This followed a motion by Senator Francis Fadahunsi, which described the death of the professor of medicine of the Obafemi Awolowo University as a huge blow to academic activities in the institution. It also called on security agencies to fortify security across the country, especially as the Christmas and New Year celebrations draw nearer. Senate has approved the 2020 budget of 11.5 billion naira for the Universal Service Provision Fund and 140.3 billion naira for the Nigerian Communications Commission. Meanwhile, the Senate has approved the report of its Committee on Navy, Marine Transport and Finance on the alleged illegal operations of a private company in security operations at the secured Anchorage area of Lagos State, describing the allegation as false. The Senate has confirmed the nominees for appointment as chairman and board members of the FIRS. You are still on to the news on NTA International. We'll go on break and come back shortly. Stay with us. Take the break later. Moving on now, the sustained airstrikes being conducted by the Air Task Force ATF of Operation Lafia Dole under the auspices of Operation Rattlesnake have yielded further results with the destruction of another Boko Haram terrorist camp at Ngoshe in the Sambisa Forest area of Borno State. The operation was executed on 16th December 2019 after a Nigerian Air Force intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance aircraft had, over a series of missions, observed a scaling up of terrorist activities in some compounds within the settlement. A statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola, said the task force detailed an enhanced force package of attack aircraft to engage the location. Overhead the target area, a significant number of terrorists were observed. The ammunition from the attack aircraft hit the designated location, wiping out a part of the cluster of buildings in the area and neutralizing several of the BHT fighters. It said the Nigerian Air Force, operating in concert with surface forces, will sustain its efforts to completely destroy all remnants of the terrorists in the northeast. The federal government is taking immediate steps to ensure that more heritage sites in Nigeria are captured under the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed disclosed this during his visit to Osun-Osogbo Sacred Grove in Osogbo. Femi Afariogun reports.
Osun-Osogbo Grove in Osun State and Sukkur Cultural Landscape in Adamawa State are the only two World Heritage Sites recognized by UNESCO in Nigeria. The visit of the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, to Osun-Osogbo Grove is to renew the federal government's commitment to protecting culture and tourism, as well as draw global attention to the beauty behind the extraordinary heritage sites. The minister entered the first palace of the first Atauja of Osogbo inside the grove, where cameras were not allowed. It was also at the Osun River, tagged River of Fertility, and the hanging bridge constructed in the year 1935.
Let me use the opportunity of this visit to warn the land grabbers who are threatening the buffer zone around the Osun-Osogbo Grove, which is also a national monument. We'll do whatever is possible within the law to keep encroachers at bay.
Though Nigeria is blessed with many heritage sites, the minister announced that the federal government is seeking to enlist the ancient Kano City Wall, the Brazilian Bracon Museum Point of No Return in Badagry, the forest of Okeibo Ileoluji axis in Ondo State, the Gashaka Gumti National Park, and the Obunuke Caves in Anambra State as World Heritage Sites. He visited the house of Susan Wenger, popularly known as Aduni Olorisha, a white woman who preserved the Osun-Osogbo Sacred Grove until her death in 2009. The minister was also at the governor's office to renew federal government's commitment at supporting Osun-Osogbo Festival.
Because our intention is actually to use this to also alert the world that we have many other heritage sites that qualify for UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and we've visited about 6 of them.
What we are trying to market is cultural tourism. And I realized that even people, countries that don't have what we have, are making so much from culture and tourism.
The minister, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, is planning a similar visit to Sukkur Cultural Landscape in Adamawa State. In Osogbo, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
The passion of every employee is derived from the sustainable impacts its organization is making to advance the cause of delivering services to the people. This summed up the perception of Florence Orji at the NTA Annual News Conference to take stock of the organization's performance in 2019. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
Florence Orji has a practical experience of television industry that traversed the 3 arms of reportorial, editorial, and current affairs for more than 3 decades and still seeking for improved performance. This explains why she joins other colleagues across the country at the NTA Annual News Conference to review progress achieved in 2019 and identify setbacks with firm commitment to surmounting them.
We are all expected to take NTA to the level or to that level that it is aspiring to be.
If we're saying we're 42 years in broadcasting, then we should stay on the path and be the leader and let others follow.
It will enhance our performance, particularly in the area of reportage.
2019 elections coverage and other equivalent tasks the organization carried out during the period underscored the importance attached to the conference.
We are trying to align to the digitization process, so we expect to see NTA expanding its horizon. Of course, we still have the reach. So we're trying to widen the scope in terms of digital space.
Satisfied with the height attained, NTA management resonated paradigm shift as the theme of the annual conference, with concerns in expanding the ICT space in line with global trend of creativity and excellence in broadcasting.
This achievement that we have been able to make so far, and also build upon it, build the confidence, and also make sure that we move this authority to the next level.
The resolution of Florence Orji and others here is to build an elaborate platforms through ICT-driven systems to improve capacity and add value to governance in Nigeria and beyond.
The review conference is an annual practice by NTA management to improve on critical areas of its mandate and to continually develop a quality template for surpassing previous performance, as well as driving in its vision as the largest TV network in Africa. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
That's the way to go, Abubakar. And that concludes the news on NTA International. Thank you for watching. I am Nolin Ebel Ame.